Okay, we're back. So look at a couple of things real quick. Again, every video I got to get in the habit of doing this so I can tell people. But first of all, if you watch the video, smash the like button. It helps the YouTube channel, as well as subscribe so you can get the latest and the greatest videos when they pop up. I want to encourage everybody to also join our Facebook group. The Facebook group's name is the same as the YouTube channel, which is Pimpy's Investment Chat. I will leave a link in the description so that you could just click it and follow it. You could go there and there's all kinds of information on the Iraqi dinar, as well as the Vietnam dong and many other things, cryptocurrencies, gold, silver. People in here share a lot of information, and I encourage you all to go there. As a matter of fact, most of the stuff that you guys are paying for in these Patreon groups are shared inside this group for free. Okay, so I encourage you to do so. Come on over, check out the group. It's free, okay? And you can't beat that. Free 99 is always good, okay? So, let's talk about the Iraqi dinar. I've spoken about this when I'm talking about here. I said I was going down a rabbit hole a couple times, and I went down this rabbit hole with this theory, but something interesting happened. So last night I had an opportunity to just listen on a conversation that I thought was really informative. But as I was listening, I couldn't help but notice many of the things that were being discussed were things that I had brought up before, and had created kind of a theory that I had, or an idea that I had about what was really going on with the IQD. So to listen to these people talk about it, they're really intelligent people. And I was listening to them talk, and I thought, man, this kind of is like what I was saying. There's a lot of similarities to it. So it made me feel good that I was at least on the right track, because if these people were talking about it, then the information I'm coming across is very legit, okay? So anyways, let's talk about the Iraqi dinar. One of the things I spoke about in the past was this thing called a feasible study, and I'll leave the link for that as well. And the feasible study was them discussing how they're going to be able to maintain a specific rate through monetary policies. All right, let me see if I can get to this real quick. So here it comes from the Ministry of Planning in Iraq. There is this thing called the Exchange Rate Foreign Currency on Economical Feasible Studies. Okay, it's an older study, but there's some interesting information. Now, this same thing here, it's down there, but I like the way it's written here because I'm half blind here. So let's kind of go over this real quick because it's very, very interesting. Okay, I want to go over this. It says below are the central controls related to the exchange rate of the foreign currency to convert the project inputs and outputs from foreign currency to its equivalent in the local currency. And that is by calculating a net discounted present value standard and the internal return on investment and economical analysis that governs investment projects that costs exceed 1 million dinar. Okay? Now, what caught my attention about this is I brought it up before. I brought up an article in which they were stating that even though the Iraqi dinar value was lowered, on there it stated, and I stated this several times, there seems to be, and there's not seems, I know now for a fact, they're monitoring two rates. One they call the real rate, and the other one they call the nominal rate. Now, on that other project or the other video, you will see I show you in there where they say they will continue to do business, trade, purchases, everything else with the real rate, which was $3.22. Okay, but the other rate that was on the market, the currency, it was a nominal rate. It was ridiculous. I think it was at the time like I don't know. Wow, the currency one now is like 1,190 dinar for $1. Okay, so it was pegged to the US dollar. You could buy a ton of Iraqi dinar with $1, but they were monitoring this rate, and this feasible study seems to tell you why they are monitoring the two rate, which is interesting. Okay, so let's kind of go over this real quick here. It says, so the central controls for adjusting market prices distinguished a group of outputs and inputs traded internationally, where the project's production or usage of them It is reflected on the abundance of foreign currency in the economy, and thus project outputs or inputs used of such are considered purely foreign currency outputs or inputs. All right, let's go down this a little bit. So what it's meant by exchange rate, the number of, now here you go, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're telling you how they're calculating the rate. So let's pay attention. What is meant by the exchange rate? The number of units of foreign currencies expressed in dollar per 1 dinar. In particular, the following outputs and inputs of foreign currency were distinguished. Exports or outputs. Outputs marked locally that substitute imports. Imported inputs. Inputs produced locally that usually go to exports. Foreign labor. According to the price rules, the value of the outputs and inputs traded is calculated using export prices, FOB, and import prices, CIF, according to what is listed in the pricing rules. In other words, the pricing rules calculated what the project produces from a foreign currency, quantity of exports multiplied by the export price, FOB, in foreign currency, or the quantity of substitute imports multiplied by the import price, the CIF, in foreign currency, as well as what the project uses from foreign currency and imported inputs multiplied by the import price, CIF, in foreign currency, etc., etc. The last step, projected outputs and inputs must be converted from the foreign currency to its equivalent in local currency, which is the dinar, by using a specific exchange rate for the foreign currency. So, okay, in order for this to happen without blowing up inflation, there has to have been agreed value of currency that we're not seeing. This is something that I think the central banks are doing. They seem to be storing up on Iraqi dinar. They're obviously going to be operating on a whole different rate than what the public is. Okay, whatever this global currency reset, it's happening to all of the currencies, but there's somehow, some way, Iraqi dinar seems to be playing a pretty huge role in everything that's happened. I want you to think about something. We've been back and forth on how much Iraqi dinar is out there. We saw on the CBI website that at the time we saw it, they had they had issued 51 trillion dinars. But you have to ask yourself, if less than 5% of it is being used in country, what the hell are they doing creating so much dinar? There isn't a need to create that much dinar. First of all, the dinar is not being recognized internationally. It's not even trading on the Forex. So if that's the case, it's not recognized internationally, it's not being traded on the Forex, and less than 5% of the currency is used in country, why do they need to just keep producing mass amounts of Iraqi dinar? Now, I told you I had the suspicion that the Iraqi dinar is going to be used for something different. All right. As a matter of fact, it might be the poor man's reserve dollar. All right. There might be I think there's going to be some kind of understanding between the central banks, because all of them have the dinar. All right. They all do. Why? Why the hell do they have it? What is the purpose of it? Unless there's something going to happen with the Iraqi dinar. There has to be a reason why they need 51 trillion dinar. Okay? Think about this. I want you to think about this clearly. Okay? The people in Iraq don't have bank accounts. I mean, they do, but very few of them trust the bank. As a matter of fact, I think the last time I looked, less than 9% of the people in Iraq have banks. So what is the money used for? What are they doing with the money? If less than 5% of the currency is in country, and less than 9% of the people in Iraq have a banking account or trust a bank, where the frick is the money going to? What is it being used for? You should be asking yourself these questions. And why does every central bank, and I did a video and I showed you that there's currency swaps happening. Now I know why they do currency swaps, but this was at a huge level. There was something like 36 countries taking part of a currency swap, and Iraq was one of them. Now, we know that the central bank or the Federal Reserve in the United States, I showed you articles in which they're holding 7.4 trillion and possibly another additional 4.5. You're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of about 12 trillion dinars. All right. Why? At that one time, I showed you that they swapped 7.5 trillion dinars for, I believe it was $7 billion, in which they took to the U.S. Treasury and then got bonds in which they would earn an interest of about $100 million per year. But still, this is still blowing my mind. Why the hell is there so much dinar? You have to ask yourself, what is really going on? And why are all the central banks taking part of this? Why are they so interested in the dinar if it has no value? Why is there two rates being kept? Why, in that initial article that I showed a while back, did it say that the two rates were the 322 would continue to be used for the purposes of trade and oil and the whole 9 yards, but the other rate is what we're seeing out here in the public? What is the purpose of keeping two rates? What are they trying to do? This in here is talking about how they're monitoring the rate. Okay, so anyways, I read all the way down to here. Okay, so let's read a little bit more. Justification for exchange rate adjustment. There are a number of important and powerful arguments which support the view that do you see this even in this article? The official exchange rate reduces the real value of foreign currency for purposes of calculating the economical national profitability for investment projects and hence for the purpose of investment planning. It is demonstrated to this context to call for assessing, you like how I said that? Assessing the dinar for less than $3.208. Remember, I told you they were keeping a separate rate for trade, which was $3.22. Right here it's saying, look what it's saying, for less than $3.2. Official exchange rate. Didn't I say that that was considered the official exchange rate? When assessing project outputs and inputs of traded goods, of exports, substitute importance and imports, etc., etc. Okay, let's go down a little bit more. The justification to call for the use of an exchange rate that is lower than the official rate. Again, they're using two rates. Why? For you geniuses out there that know a lot about the economy, that know you economists, does this make sense? So in the beginning, although they lowered the rate to a real small nominal amount, they kept two rates. They continued to do business at the $3.22 or the $3.20 rate. In here, they're telling you the same damn thing. They're keeping two rates. There's a purpose for it. Here's my theory on this. They continue to do business at the rate of $3.20, and they put out the nominal rate. And between the two rates, they're able to control the true value of the dinar. This is just my theory. All right? And by doing so, depending on the type of imports, exports, and businesses that they did between countries, depending on what was going on, they were able to do business and control the true value of the Iraqi dinar, so that when the time came to do the rate change, they would have a rate that they could do business with. All right, in other words, a rate that they could put out there and justify. A lot of us are going to $51 trillion. If it's $3, that's $150 trillion. Yeah, I get all that, but I told you this in another video too. What gives a dollar its value? A fiat dollar, a US dollar. What gives it its value? Nothing. It's a freaking piece of paper we're printing on it. That's the same with a $100 bill. What gives it its value? Nothing. The reason why it has value at all is because the government told you that this piece of paper had this value to it, and we all accepted that value. We all accepted it. So what's to keep Iraq from doing the same thing? You can sit there and try to go, well, how are they going to be able to do this? They don't have enough gold. They don't have enough this. They don't have enough that. But the truth of the matter is, if they came out with a rate of $1.34, like I think they're going to, do you think people are going to care how the hell they came up with that rate? No. Do you really care? We pay attention to Iraq and what's going on in their news and what's going on in their country, not because we really care. We can give a shit less. What we want is to make sure that that rate changes. So if they came out and they said, it doesn't make a difference whether or not this value of this money is supported If they give us a rate change, you will run your mother over trying to get to the bank to exchange that dinar, okay? So who cares how they come up with that? But this is interesting, so let's keep going. Where's that? Okay, so past two, let's go down to the next one. The justification to call for the usage of an exchange rate that is lower than the official rates are: the use of an exchange rate that is lower than the official rate is the appropriate action at the investment planning level to translate the country's economical strategy aiming at stimulating central investments in the sector that encourages the development of non-oil exports. Now, I talked about that. I'll bring it up again. As well as a sector that encourages the expansion of the domestic production base in order to reduce the imports and compensate it with local commodities. This helps to reduce reliance on foreign exchange earnings from crude oil exports and increases the share of non-oil sectors in the local productions. I talked about this. One of the ways Iraq needs to strengthen their money. That strengthening means the rate of it. They can't just keep relying on oil exports. They have to develop agriculture. They got to get mining going. They have to have outside investors come in, open businesses, get the people off unemployment, get them paying taxes. All these things contribute to the value of the dinar. This is what they're talking about, okay? The application of the amended exchange rate on project inputs will assist in directing investments away from aggregated sectors dependent on imported inputs and the preference of those sectors that rely on locally produced inputs. Think about what they're saying. I said this in another video. Look, there has to be this sweet spot. All right, there has to be a sweet spot. So I'm thinking by keeping the exchange rate nominal, there's going to be a lot of business that's attracted into Iraq. There's going to be a lot of outside investors. But if it's too low, you're talking about an explosion in inflation. And besides that, if it's too high, then people would spend more on imports coming in. I did that example with the two TVs. So if it's costing you too much money in country to create the same TV that you could buy for $400 cheaper, you know what I mean? That's why we got to pay attention to the rate. Okay, so where are we at? The application, the use of an amendment rate to help correct the balance in favor of the traded goods sectors compared to the non-traded goods. Okay, so the exchange rate declined. Okay, so here we go. The real exchange rate has declined rapidly since the early 70s through rapid rise of the low level of prices and local costs, which led by the steadiness of the official exchange rate to change in price and actual local rate costs that gave an advantage for imported goods at the expense of locally produced goods, meaning that it led to the deterioration of the competitiveness of alternate replacement goods and export commodities. This is what I'm talking about. So if you owned a business within Iraq and you're an Iraqi and your job is to make TVs, and between the labor, supplies, parts, and everything else, a 32-inch TV cost you, you have to sell for $600 just to cover all your expenses and make a little bit of profit. But then China is turning around and importing TVs for the same type of TV you are for $200. Nobody's going to want your $600. You're not going to be able to stay in business. If you can't stay in business, and you can't hire people. If you can't hire people, then the people don't have jobs. If they don't have jobs, they're on entitlement programs, which takes money from the government, and they're not paying taxes, okay? So very interesting. The action shows that the official exchange rate overestimated the value of the dinar compared to the foreign currency, and from the promoting goods substituting imports and export commodities point of view of. Okay, let me just keep going there. All right. And in support of this view, the state utilization and in a board approach to the customs and quantitative protection policies, especially for consumer goods, as well as exported subsidies that exports have through an amended export exchange rate. Here we go. Estimate that the amended exchange rate of the dinar to be used in technical and economical feasible studies, and for $1.13 per dinar. This price should be approved for 3 years until reappreciation by the competent authorities. Okay, so look, I'll leave the link. It's here. I've spoken about this. They had a 3-year plan. Here it is again. They're talking about it. Look at this. All right. So they're telling you what they're doing. I think what they're trying to do is make a correction to the value of the dinar. Sure, they're trading, doing business with one rate, but the nominal rate is on the outside. So the truth of the matter is, what we're hearing, this dollar, or what is that? $1 gives you 1,190 dinars. That's the real rate? No, it's not. They have somehow been managing the real rate away from the public. And I know a lot of you out there going, oh my God, there's 51 trillion dinars. Yeah, I agree. I just don't know what they're going to do with that 51 trillion, because the truth of the matter is they don't need 51 trillion. Less than 5% of it is in country. Less than 9% of the people in Iraq have a banking account. What the hell do they need 51 trillion dinars for? Unless there's some kind of agreement, like I said, between central banks that somehow, some way, and I think I said it was going to be the possible next petrodollar, but I think I'm wrong on that one. I thought maybe it would even be the next reserve dollar. But maybe this might be another version, a second currency that's going to be used as some sort of poor man's reserve dollar. Okay? How else? Anybody else, leave a comment in my comment section. And you, those of you that know, explain to me how this makes sense to you. How they need to generate 51 trillion dinars when less than 9% of the people have a bank account in Iraq. They have a high unemployment rate, and why the hell do all these central banks have this currency? I don't get it. So less than 5% of the 51 trillion is used in country. Less than 9% of the people have bank accounts. Why does Iraq need 51 trillion dinars? All right, leave a comment and let me know what you think. I will leave the link to this this feasible study. I'm just curious to what you people have to say. Okay, I just thought I would talk about this again because, like I said, I was on a phone call last night and I heard an interesting conversation, and a lot of it was based around some of the stuff I've been reading, and I'm starting to think that there's a bigger picture that we're not seeing that's going to be happening with the Iraqi dinar. A lot of people are saying, look, they can't afford to do that rate. I understand why you think that, but like I said, here's the deal. What gives our dollar any value? Look how much debt we have. How is it holding its purchasing power? It does because we're being told it does. Okay? So what's to keep, whether or not they can support it or not, what the hell is to keep Iraq coming out and saying, hey, the real value now, or the IMF for that matter, coming out and saying, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and set the rate. We're going to set it at $1.34, or in this case, they're saying $1.13. We're going to set it at $1.13. That's going to be the new rate to the public. Ooh, so what? Who's going to complain whether or not they can support that? Does it really matter? What gives the dinar its value? What gives it its value is you're being told that's what the real value is. So if they come out with $1.13 USD for every 1 dinar, like I said, you will run your mother over trying to get to the bank to cash your dinar. All right? So go ahead and leave a comment. Please hit the like button. Share it. Take the video and share it. I know there's a lot of you people that got friends. People keep asking me, is it okay to share? Yes, just copy the URL at the top and repost it. Lots of people can share. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not gripey that way, okay? So again, leave a comment. Let me know what you think.